What's up YouTube, it's your boy Steven and welcome back to another Black Myth Wukong video. In today's video we have something that you all have been waiting for and the community has voted for it, and that is an updated Black Myth Wukong staff tier list. There have been many other staff tier lists floating around, but ever since the last update there have been some insane changes to the weapons and combat of this game. There were 3 new staffs that were introduced in this game, and I am here today to rank all of the current staffs against each other. Now this will be a very detailed video, so make sure you listen closely. I will do my best to explain to you all how I am ranking these staffs and for each criteria, what a staff scores. I will take into consideration damage, accessibility, synergy with other items, and playstyle. Hopefully I do a fine job of explaining these, but if I don't, let me know in the comments below. Of course, I want to hear from the community. If you are all enjoying Black Myth Wukong content, let me know by giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing. I have a bunch more Black Myth Wukong content as well as some more games in the future coming out. One last thing before I start the video, I do want to warn you all that the gameplay seen here may contain some spoilers, as the gameplay is New Game Plus 10. With that out of the way, let's get into the staff tier list. First we have the hot garbage tier, and I literally made this tier for one specific weapon, the Bronze Cloud Staff. I don't know how there are so many pay-to-lose items in this game, but this staff has got to be one of the worst of them. The Bronze Cloud Staff ranks as hot garbage tier, with a damage rating of 36 attack and a crit chance of plus 2%. The damage rating is terrible. This is only 6 more damage than the starting staff that you get for free. Oh yeah, speaking of prices, this staff is only included in the deluxe edition of this game, meaning you'd have to pay $10 to do 6 more damage for about 1 hour. The accessibility rating is terrible. The staff synergy with other items fails to account that when this item is relevant at the beginning of the game, there are no other items that we have that can help. Only plus 2 crit chance is awful and may as well not even be there. Synergy ranking is terrible. And lastly, for the playstyle. This staff plays just like any other one, making it no different in playstyle. It's relatively easy, but at this point I don't know why you'd be using this weapon. The playstyle ranking is just average. With all this in mind, I'm throwing this shit stick in the hot garbage tier. I don't think I really need to explain why this belongs here any longer, so let's quickly move on to the next tier, the D tier. On to the next shit stick, we have the Willowwood Staff. Okay, I'm sorry. I disrespected the Willowwood Staff. But where else would you expect this staff? I could throw it in S tier for the meme though. Anyways, the Willowwood Staff is the starting staff that the Destined One receives on his way to gather all of the relics. It does 30 attack and has no unique effects. Its damage rating is bad. I can't give the damage rating terrible since it's the first weapon, but I am giving it a bad damage rating as it won't be relevant later. The accessibility ranking is perfect as it's the first staff given to you without any effort. This staff has terrible synergy as it has no effects, and the playstyle is just average. The Willowwood Staff is going to have to stay in D tier as it starts off our journey great, but quickly becomes replaced with other staffs in the future. The next staff in D tier is the Twin Serpent Staff, and it has a damage rating of 40 attack and the unique effect of moderately increasing the damage of light attack combo finisher. The effect is massively enhanced when fighting in water. This is the first staff that comes with the unique effect, and this is a great one for the rest of chapter 1. The damage rating of this staff is alright, and only slightly increases when executing the light attack combo finisher. Note that this staff's light attack damage average is actually higher than the next staff on the list because of the increased damage, but it's only a small amount. The staff is unlocked after being the White Clad Noble in chapter 1, giving it a great accessibility rating. There are only a few items that we can synergize with this build, but the Serpent Scale build will pair perfectly with this build, making the synergy ranking average. Beginners will be comfortable using the staff's playstyle as you'll need to be spamming the light attack combo in order to get the passive off. The playstyle ranking is good. This staff is placed here because it's the next step that players should take when leveling up and crafting staffs in Black Myth Wukong. The staff does the job and is great for new players, but again, quickly gets replaced with other, more powerful staffs. The next staff we have in D tier is the Wind Bear Staff, and it has 50 attack with plus 4% crit chance. This is the next staff in the Willowwood Staff crafting tree and is placed here perfectly as the next step of the Destined One's journey. The damage rating of this staff is good and does its job, but where the staff really shines is the Cloud Step. Not only does the staff give you plus 4% crit chance, but when in Cloud Step, the unique effect will grant you a bonus plus 25% crit chance. Yes, plus 25% crit chance. This staff is granted after being the first chapter. Along with the Wind Bear staff, you will also be unlocking the Ebon Gold armor set. Furthermore, the Ebon Gold set will increase the Cloud Step's next unveiling strike. The synergy with the Wind Bear staff is good, and the staff is deserving of the next spot in D tier. Lastly, the playstyle that the staff requires will be an ease to the players, as Cloud Step is one of the most useful spells in the game. Overall, the Wind Bear staff is the next staff in the D tier, and will help the Destined one in Chapter 2. The next staff in D tier is the Chitin staff, boasting a much higher damage rating than the last staff of 80 attack with plus 5% crit chance. The staff also has the unique effect of giving you health regen when consuming focus points. Now, the reason that this staff is here is not because of the damage itself, but specifically for the unique effect because it hardly works.
I know there are shenanigans going on in here. Who wrote this? Who wrote this lie?
You're supposed to gain health regen with this staff, but it fails to do so and leaves you disappointed at the end. The damage rating is good, but the staff is unlocked much later than the previously listed staff. This staff can be obtained in early Chapter 4 after defeating the second sister, but the fact that it is unlocked so late and yet the staff's effect doesn't work makes the accessibility ranking average, yet not worth it. The playstyle is like many others, and you can use any staff stance you want with the staff. The synergy is little to none at this moment, as the effect doesn't work anyways. The healing is just terrible. So for this reason, the Chitin staff is placed in the D tier for disappointing the players with a false healing staff. You know, when you get to Chapter 4, a healing staff would be really nice, but just left disappointed. Alright guys, now that were all the staffs in the D tier, we can move on to the C tier staffs. Starting off the C tier, we have the Rat Sage staff, with a damage rating of 66 attack and plus 7% crit chance. The staff has a cool unique effect of giving you extra wind damage when staff spinning and executing the fourth move of your light attack combo. The damage for the staff is okay for when it's unlocked, and the plus 7 crit chance helps make some of your attacks hit a little bit harder. The Rat Sage staff is unlocked after beating Chapter 2, making the accessibility great, requiring no additional effort other than playing the main storyline. You can't really synergize the Rat Sage staff with any items or builds right now, to my knowledge, so the synergy rating will be low. The playstyle of the Rat Sage staff is great and will encourage players to use specific moves. These moves, in my opinion, are the best moves for gaining focus, encouraging players to learn the best ways to play in the game. The playstyle of ranking of this staff is great, and overall the staff is a great staff to have after beating Chapter 2. Moving on, we have the next C tier staff, and this is the Long Reach staff, and this may be a controversial one. The Long Reach staff has a 70 attack,
70
and a unique effect of adding bonus damage to Pillar Stance move. The Pillar Stance is my least favorite stance in this game, and working around the stance is a key to playing the staff correctly. Now, the damage rating of the staff is okay, and it's further increased when using the Pillar Stance. The staff is accessible after beating the Red and Black Wukong in Chapters 1 and 2, and gets an accessibility rating of an okay, simply because you need to defeat 2 secret bosses. Luckily, they're not too bad. The synergy and playstyle rating of this staff though is not good, as there are almost no builds that this staff can really synergize with, and Pillar Stance is really hard to use. When you're decent with the staff, you can do a lot of damage. However, the difficult playstyle and Pillar Stance mechanics make this staff fall short of high C tier. Moving on, we have the Cloud Pattern Stone staff in C tier. This staff has a damage rating of 50 attack and holds the unique effect of enhancing Smash Dance move. For the opposite reason of the Long Reach staff, this staff's playstyle around its specific stance makes it slightly better. The damage rating of the Cloud Pattern staff is average at best, but when you use the Smash Dance, your damage is considerably increased, specifically your charged heavy attack damage. The damage rating of the Cloud Pattern staff is great for its time and surely excels even moving further onto the game. Speaking of, the staff is obtained after defeating the secret stone boss in Chapter 2, Shinigami, making it easier than both the Rat Sage staff and the Long Reach staff, boasting a high accessibility rating. The synergy with the staff is fairly low, doesn't have many items to compare it with other than maybe some spirits, but these are not unlocked till later. The playstyle with the Cloud Pattern staff is good and requires playing with the easiest, most comfortable stance in the game, the Smash Dance. These are my final reasons why this staff should be rated in the C tier above the Long Reach staff. I know it does less damage, but it seems like the heavy attacks for the Cloud Pattern staff were actually higher than the Long Reach staff. Alright, next I'm going to talk about 2 staffs at the same time, as they are ranked almost the exact same on my tier list. and that is the Visionary Centipede Staff and the Spider Celestial Staff. These two staffs are introduced as two more healing staffs in Chapter 4 of Black Myth Wukong. They both have around 80 damage and grant the user plus 10% or plus 10% crit chance accordingly. The Visionary Centipede Staff grants the user healing with focus points and increases the recovery when the enemy is poisoned. The Spider Celestial Staff grants healing consuming focus points and inflicts Poison Bane on the enemy, dealing bonus poison damage. However, both staffs' passives, just like the Chitin Staff, don't really work. The health gained from these staffs make the purpose of this staff questionable. The damage rating of these two staffs are pretty good, and the crit chance adds on to melting your enemies faster. The accessibility rating of these staffs is average, and you just need to complete Chapter 4 main storyline to obtain these items. The synergy for these staffs are interesting because the secret bosses of Chapter 4 can actually gain you the famous Poison build, and will perfectly synergize with both of these staffs. However, the fact that you need to go out of your way and fight some harder bosses in the game makes the synergy rating from great just to okay. The playstyle of these staffs is like any other staff, and all stances can be used with the staffs. You'll get a little bit more room to breathe with the slight healing of the build, but again, it's not much to notice really at all. So overall, these two staffs get a low rating of C tier because it's the second and third time disappointing me after going all the way to Chapter 4 and saying I was going to get a healing staff. It's just kind of sad, man. For the last staff in the C tier, we have the Bishui Beast Staff. This staff has a 105 attack with a plus 10% crit chance and has no unique effect. It is a solid staff that reminds players that good staffs don't necessarily need a unique effect to be good. The damage rating of the staff is good and holds its own against some of the hardest enemies in the game. The staff is unlocked after defeating the Golden-Eyed Beast in Chapter 5, so it has a bad accessibility rating. This boss is pretty hard, and you'll have a hard time fighting it. The synergy and playstyle rating is like any other build, with no restrictions, yet no direct synergy. The Bishui staff is rated a bit low due to its low accessibility, but it does decent damage and can do decent damage near the end of the game. In my opinion though, this staff is definitely not worth beating the Golden-Eyed Beast. It's better to not even look at this staff and focus on the next staff that can be created, the Blazing Staff of Karma and the Dark Iron Staff. This is going to be the last staff in the C tier. Now that we're done with the C tier with the Bishui staff, we can wrap up and move on to B tier. For the first B tier and first mythical staff we have on this list, it is the Stormflash Luong staff. It has the unique effect of charging lightning during heavy charge attacks. After you build this charge, you are under Thunder Pain and your attacks will inflict thunder damage. Many of you will be wondering, why is this staff rated so low? So hear me out, y'all. Hear me out. The Stormflash Luong staff has one of the highest damage outputs of any staff in the game with 140 attack and plus 9% crit chance. The damage rating of the staff is great, the base damage is incredible, and is only further increased when an enemy is Thunderbane, giving him minus 20% damage reduction. However, you are under Thunderbane, so you also have a minus 20% damage reduction. The accessibility of the staff is terrible and only can be obtained in New Game Plus after beating all the Luong bosses twice. The accessibility rating is awful, and yeah, this staff is definitely not the easiest to get. The synergy of this build can be expanded when using the famous Lightning build, making this build a bit better in synergy, but the playstyle is highly affected by this. This is one of the hardest staffs to play around because of the extremely uncomfortable playstyle of charging your heavy attacks to maximize damage. This playstyle change is so severe, in fact, it actually tends to lower my kill speeds in this game. Staffs that I think are weaker are actually easier to defeat bosses than the Stormflash Luong staff because of the weird playstyle. Anyways, the Stormflash Luong staff is one of the more major disappointments when grinding Black Myth Wukong, as the staff's hard accessibility and weird playstyle bring it down to a low B tier.
I mean, it's alright, like...
The next staff in B tier is going to be the Staff of Blazing Karma. This staff has a very cool unique effect of damaging your opponent with a Scorchbane and leave a small pool of fire below your 3 to 4 point charged heavies. The staff has an attack of 100 and gives you a plus 40 defense and plus 10% burn resistance. The damage of the staff is insane, and similar to the Cloud Pattern staff, considerably increases the damage of your charged heavy attacks. This staff is unlocked in late Chapter 5, making it have an okay accessibility rating. I find that at this point, this staff is not really useful, and the game kind of gives it to you a bit late. I wish this staff was unlocked a little bit earlier, but it has an okay accessibility rating. The new Opulence Armor build can be synergized with this build, giving it an okay synergy rating. The playstyle of this build is not hard because of the smash dance focus, but rather the fact of having to maintain and reserve focus points. I think that keeping 3 to 4 point charged heavies at lower level staffs is a bit harder than you think and can be disappointing when you waste the focus points. However, if you can maintain focus and charge your smash attacks, this staff will do you good. The staff's low accessibility rating and difficult playstyle reward it with a low B tier rating. Certainly better and more reliable than the Stormflash Luong staff. The next staff we're going to talk about in B tier is the Spike Shaft staff unlocked after beating Chapter 3. This staff boasts one of the coolest unique effects in my personal opinion, granting you focus point generation after seeing through an enemy. Note that seeing through an enemy means perfectly timing your varied combos in order to dodge an enemy's attacks and become invisible for a short duration. This staff has a good damage rating with 80 attack and really shines with the high amount of focus that we will generate. The accessibility rating is good as it is unlocked during the main questline after beating Chapter 3, although Chapter 3 is the longest chapter in the game. Now, this staff has great synergy with items and excels when handled by a skilled player, but it can only be used by a skilled player. Items like the Tiger Tendon Belt and the Stone Tiger Tally can synergize with the staff, however, they are unlocked a bit later. The playstyle of the staff is not easy and must be perfected in order for the staff to really shine. If you are not using this staff's effects, you are not doing it justice. But seeing through an enemy is not the easiest thing to do, so I understand. For these reasons, the Spike Shaft staff is in the low B tier, above the staff of Poison Karma. The staff is good, reliable, but it takes a skilled player to use. The next staff we have in our B tier is the second mythical staff, and that is the Golden Luong staff. Now this is actually one of my favorite staffs due to its unique playstyle around the pillar stance. The Golden Luong staff grants you the unique effect of considerably increasing your pillar stance moves and grants you a Thunder Luong summon upon using a 3 to 4 point charged heavy in the pillar stance. The damage of this staff is great with an attack of 109. You can get this staff once you are in Chapter 4, but it won't be easy. You have to beat the Cyan Luong in Chapter 3 and the Yellow Luong in Chapter 4. The Yellow Luong wasn't too hard for me, but I know that many players struggle with this boss, giving the accessibility rating of OK. The Golden Luong staff can be synergized with most of the lightning builds in the game, giving you even more damage when equipped it. The synergy rating is great. Lastly, the Golden Luong staff requires players to use the pillar stance, but the pillar stance is not the easiest to use while in combat. When it's mastered though, it can lead to some amazing potential. The Luong summon with 3 to 4 point charged heavy immediately puts the enemy in Thunderbane, giving you thunder damage with E. This thunder damage will significantly increase the speed that you can kill your enemy. Overall, the Golden Luong staff is put in the high B tier for being great overall damage and gameplay, but being a little bit hard to obtain and hard to use. As you see in the background, you're going to have to use your pillar stance really smartly to get off those 3 to 4 point charged heavies. Now the last staff in the B tier is going to be the Chubai Spear. This staff is unlocked much before the recently talked about staffs and continues to be great from the moment you pick it up. The Chubai Spear has an attack of 75 and grants the user bonus damage when using the thrust stance and gives you a new attack combo. This spear considerably increases the usefulness and damage output of the staff and creates charged heavies that can compare with spears of much higher levels. The damage rating goes from good to great with the Chubai Spear. The accessibility rating of the spear is great, only requiring you to beat the side mission nearing the end of Chapter 3. The synergy with this weapon isn't that good, as most you can do with it is add focus point generation. The Chubai Spear, however, is mostly used around the thrust stance, and I believe that this is the best stance in the game. The stance allows you to evade, strike, and deal immense damage. The Chubai Spear is a force to be reckoned with once picked up, and is a spear that will last you a very long time. I will say this spear will probably last you up until the end of Chapter 4. Now that we are done with our B tier staffs, we can move on to the A tier staffs. The first A tier staff we have today is the famous Kengjin staff. Now this staff has a moderate attack with 70, and the staff was obtained mid Chapter 3, and only requires you to follow the main questline. You may be asking, why is this low level staff this high? But this staff has an amazing unique effect of granting you a Thunder Luong after completing your light attack combos. While this Luong doesn't inflict as much Thunderbane as the other lightning staffs, the practicality allows this staff to be the highest rated epic staff in the game. Yes, even over the other lightning staffs. The Kengjin staff's attack, 70 attack, is not the best, but excels once you can Thunderbane your enemy, giving you a good damage rating. The accessibility rating is great for the staff, as you only need to defeat the Kengjin Luong to unlock. This is unlocked mid Chapter 3, so it has a great accessibility rating. Now, this is one of the most annoying bosses to deal with, but once defeated, you will have a staff that will last you almost to the end of the game. The synergy with this staff will be with items like the Tiger Tally and the Thunder build, making this staff one that only grows in power once you pick up. The playstyle is not hindered by any effects in this staff. It does require you to pay attention to the light combo finisher, but for the beginning players, this is super easy to do and is almost second nature. If you don't do them, the staff effect is kind of useless, so make sure you pull off your light combo finisher. The playstyle, for me, is great. Overall, the Kenshin staff is a reliable staff granted to the players for sticking around till chapter 3. The Ching Mallet is one of the newest added weapons in Black Myth: Wukong and serves as the predecessor of the Spike Shaft staff. This weapon has the highest attack of 140 and the Spike Shaft staff's unique effect of giving you focus point generation after seeing through your enemy's attack. Now, I'm not sure exactly how much focus you get from the see-through here, but it is crazy. It can be up to 2 focus points. I've seen the generation actually fight against and beat the degeneration of the 4th focus point. The damage rating of the staff combined with effects is granted the first perfect damage rating. The accessibility rating of this staff, however, is bad and requires you to beat all bosses up until chapter 4 and then do the collective strength gauntlet challenge. This challenge is not easy, so the ranking of the accessibility is severely decreased here. Now, the amount of synergy that you can do with this weapon is a bit underrated, as the Stone Tiger Tally and the Tiger Tendon will further increase your damage. All of this, however, requires skillful gameplay and maneuvering around see-throughs in this game. Although the Ching Mallet can be difficult to obtain and hard to use, the results of this staff cannot be ignored and deserves its spot in the A tier. I've been able to defeat bosses in under a minute with this staff, so I highly suggest you check it out. The next staff in the A tier is the infamous Tri-Point Double-Edged Spear. Now I know, y'all want this spear to be in the S tier. Everybody wants this spear to be in the S tier. And guys, I did too, trust me. But this spear is going to be put in the A tier and I will explain why, so please bear with me. Firstly, the Tri-Point Double-Edged Spear has one of the highest attacks of any spear with 135 and an added damage when using the Thrust Stance heavy attack. Not only that, the Thrust Stance will now shoot swords at your enemy. These swords will do consistent damage and even stun the enemy. All considered, the damage rating will be perfect. The accessibility rating though will not get the same praise, as the staff is only unlocked after defeating the hardest boss in the game, Erlang Shen. Fighting him is not a joke and will probably take you a couple hours, if not days. So this staff is going to get a very bad accessibility rating. Now the staff can be nice to synergize with some new items in the game, as well as some old reliable ones. Specifically, I'm talking about the new 3-hill crown. This crown is great and adds a little bit of an effect using the Tri-Point Double-Edged Spear, making this synergy rating great. Finally, the playstyle rating is also great and is almost perfect with the staff. The Thrust Stance is the best stance in the game, and the new varied combo will give you amazing results. I don't, however, like the spear's combo and weird sword hitbox of the staff. There are some glaring flaws in the hitboxes and the staggering of these enemies, so the playstyle rating hurts a little bit because of that. Overall, the Tri-Point Double-Edged Spear is getting a high A tier rating, being reliably impressive, but just falls a little bit short of S tier. I know it's almost S tier, guys, I know, but not quite. And the reason the Tri-Point Double-Edged Spear didn't get S tier is because there's another staff that is a little bit higher than it, and is the last staff in the A tier, and that is the Leeching Centipede staff. Now this may surprise you all, because this is a new staff in the game. So you may be asking, how is this better than the Tri-Point Double-Edged Spear? This new staff could never be better. Well, fortunately for us guys, this spear beat the last one in my opinion. The Leeching Centipede staff is the first staff in the Chitin staff crafting tree that will reliably heal you. With an amazing attack rating of 135 and a great crit chance of plus 15%, this staff's damage rating is perfect, as the damage output and healing done with your varied combos is actually meaningful. With this staff, I almost beat the Yaksha King on New Game Plus 10 in under a minute, without even synergizing my builds. This staff can be unlocked after beating most of Chapter 6 and completing the Shadowy Assembly Gauntlet Challenge. It isn't beating Erlang, but this isn't easy. This Mantis that you will fight in the Shadowy Assembly is nuts, so watch out. I'm going to give this staff a bad accessibility rating, but most of the staffs up here have that anyways. Now back to the synergy of this build. At this point in the game, you will have had the entire poison build, giving you a perfect way to synergize this staff. The Leeching Centipede staff actually grants you with more health regen when the enemy is under poison bane. With this, the healing done with this build is massive and actually will save your life. Lastly, the Leeching Centipede staff is not hindered by any playstyle, allowing users to freely create combos to defeat enemies. It gets a great playstyle rating. In the end, the Leeching Centipede staff is going to have a higher rank of A tier for me, right above the tri-point double-edged spear. Now I know guys, I know it's very controversial, but this is the first staff that will actually heal you very reliably, so for that I have to give it some props. And that is the end of A tier guys, and finally we can move on to the last tier we've all been waiting for, the S tier. Now kicking off the S tier strong, we have the new Fang Sign staff. Now this staff is the hardest staff to obtain in the game, but when held will yield incredible results. It has a new unique effect of giving you bane damage for your 4-point charged heavy depending on which stance you're in. The smash stance, you will get Erlong's axe added to your attack. In the pillar stance, you will get a bonus scorch bane. In the thrust stance, you will get a bonus thunder bane damage. The damage rating of the Fang staff is perfect.
It was perfect. Perfect.
With this staff's plus 12% crit chance and charged heavies, it is a force to be reckoned with. When the heavies are used correctly, you can get some stupid damage numbers. Like I said before, this staff is probably the hardest to unlock, requiring you to not only beat all the bosses in the game once, but then doing the Brothers of May challenge and the Relic Holder challenge in the Gauntlet of Legends. This is probably one of the hardest grinds for an item in the game, and makes the accessibility rating terrible. But the Fang staff can be synergized with so many builds that the rating is going to be perfect. Once you have it, there are no builds that you can't use with the staff. That being said, however, it may be hard to use in general. This staff requires you to save your focus points and only use the 4-point ones to maximize your damage. I like to charge my focus up until I have 4, then use my thrust stance heavy to inflict Thunderbane. From here, Thunderbane can add to my damage as I attack my enemy and charging another 4-point charged heavy. If the enemy is immune to fire, I use Smash Stance. If not, I will use Pillar Stance. You can rinse and repeat from here, but usually 1 or 2 cycles is enough to kill every boss. Sadly though, the playstyle is bad, and requires some practicing. Overall, even though the Fang Sign staff is a bitch to obtain, it can be one of the most overpowered weapons in the game. Next on S tier we have the famed Dark Iron staff. This staff is well deserving of S tier, and that may be because of its unique ability to considerably increase your damage based on your defense. As an endgame weapon, this build rewards you with using the endgame armor to obtain the highest damage. The Dark Iron staff has a 110 attack with a plus 15 chill and burn resist. The staff's damage rating is perfect. The high damage and staff's effect synergize with every build at this point. The Dark Iron staff can be obtained in very late New Game Plus and gets an accessibility rating of bad, as you need to beat the game nearly twice to be able to craft. The synergy, like I said before, is crazy with the staff, but most builds will be able to be used with the staff to their advantage, with the better armor granting you additional damage. The synergy is perfect. Lastly, the playstyle rating of this build is perfect, as you are not hindered to any specific stance. You are free to stomp the enemies however you like. This staff is crazy, and with the high damage output, you'll be able to skip some phases of bosses. The Dark Iron staff is granted its well-deserved S tier, and is arguably the best staff in the game at this point. The Adept Spine Shooting Fubon staff is the last staff in the Chitin staff crafting tree, and does not do the tree any injustice, because it is one of the craziest staffs in the game. It has a unique effect of healing on focus point usage, but also adds bonus damage by shooting spikes at the end. The Fubon staff is a perfect damage rating with a 120 attack and the best crit chance in the game, plus 25%. This crit chance combined with the damage of the staff makes the output of the total damage insane. This staff can be created in New Game Plus after defeating the Fubon and Scorpion Lord twice. It's not as hard as the Dark Iron staff was, but it's not easy either. For this reason, the accessibility rating is only okay. The staff can be synergized with any build, but synergizes with the best builds in the game, being the Poison build and the Golden build. The synergy rating is out of the roof and is getting a perfect rating for me. Lastly, the playstyle rating of this build is perfect and does not require any specific way of playing. It rewards you for focus point use, granting you damage and healing. This staff is a perfect way to wrap up the crafting tree and lends itself in the highest of S tiers. Now the best and final weapon in the S tier ranking is going to be the Jingu Bong. This weapon is here for many reasons, but I hope you all understand that this is the best staff in the game. It has one of the highest damage ratings of 135 attack and plus 6% crit chance. It has the unique ability of being able to retain the 4th focus point and is one of the best abilities in the game, giving you reliability and functionality. The damage rating of the staff is perfect. This staff consistently does great damage and lets you hit great crits. The accessibility rating of this staff is perfect as you are granted it in chapter 6 by doing the main storyline. It is a bit further into the game, but I do want to give it its flowers. It's basically free, so the accessibility rating is perfect for me. Now the synergy with the staff is perfect and gets even better when you keep playing the game. I will say here I am basically rating 2 staffs at once because you get 2 combo variations. This can be paired with almost every build and excels especially when using the Wukong build. The playstyle of this staff is perfect, giving you space and comfortability when using that precious 4-point charge heavy. This is possibly one of the best skills to have and results in great damage as well as great functionality. To wrap up S tier with the best weapon in the game, the Jingu Bong is a reliable staff granted to us destined ones as we journey to becoming Wukong. This weapon is insane when wielded and only gets better as you move on. It's no surprise that this weapon is here as I am basically ranking 2 weapons, the Jingu Bong in the regular staff stance as well as the new Wukong staff stance. The fact that we were given 2 combo variations is just crazy and makes this staff the best staff in the game. Yeah, alright y'all, that is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys agreed with my staff tier list. If you guys didn't agree, let me know in the comments below. Let me know why you didn't. I know y'all gonna say something in the comments below, so let me hear it. And yeah guys, that's going to be it for this video. If you guys liked it, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And yeah, see you guys next one.